this will go on. Well, I open my heart to your presence, surrounded by love's energy. I can hardly believe my amazement. You think so much of me. Never felt I was really deserving to put myself in this way. In some ways it's really unnerving to be so full of love every day. Oh, how long has this been going on? Yes, how long has this been going on? Dance down the street in the morning, shout from the rooftops at night, 'cause you went my soul without warning. Now my life is such a delight. I'm coming to realize the truth. Been in my heart all along. Your love has been with me forever. That's how long it's been going on. Yes, how long? This long. Forever and ever. How long this has been going on? Yes, this long. It has been going on. Oh, how long forever and ever. Lyrics by Tom Sinner.
Thank you guys, that was great. Okay, we're going to talk about science and spirituality, science and our teaching. And the basic premise that we come from is that when you come into our center, you don't have to leave your brains out in the parking lot. Which means that we believe in the total compatibility of science and spirituality. We believe, and so our challenge is always, when there is a scientific discovery, that is how is that compatible with our teaching? And one of the things that our founder said is that we're open at the top. We're organic. We're always growing. We're always changing. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages, because if somebody wants just straight black and white answers, this is the way it is, this probably is not the kind of spirituality, because we don't have black and white answers. But we do have this. We have the ability to live dynamically in the question. And we're always asking the questions. Right? What can we do? How can we grow? So one of the ways in which we can do this is kind of look back to the universe and see kind of where we've come from and how we've gotten to this place. And then we can take all of those ideas and then apply them specifically to our lives, the issues that are going on in our lives. I was talking to Gisela before today about this, and she says, how do you make it practical? It's very interesting to tell people about the science and the spirituality, but how do you make it practical so people can take it with them and live it? And all I can do is give you an example. What we can learn from this is that we are here with each other to love each other in relationships, to learn to love each other on this planet. That's one of the reasons why we're here. And so what will happen in this time and space experience that we're in is we're going to have people that will come to us that are either our lovers or our teachers. And the key element that we begin to learn is the principle of observation. We begin to observe and watch our own behavior and watch the behavior of the other person. That is a key thing, to be able to step outside of yourself and not protect yourself. And I'll give you the illustration. Something happened to me 2 days ago. A person criticized me. I thought, of course I thought, unfairly. And it was really a criticism that really, it felt like a knife that was going into my, have you ever had that? Where it's going, oh my God. Mm-hmm. And so the first reaction that a person is going to give in those kind of things is defensive. Why did they do that? They had no right to do that. They didn't understand. What I did in the situation, because I didn't know what to do, is I just left. I didn't say anything, I just left. Now maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, but at the time, I was totally thrown off of who I was. I forgot who I was. And so it took me 2 days to remember. Have you ever had that situation where somebody says something to you and somehow it got you, it pushed a button in you, and it was so personal that you kind of mulled over it and mulled over it and mulled over it. And even though you were doing other things in your life, that kept coming on your brain and it just kept working and working and working. Well, that's what happened to me. And so here's what I said to myself. There's got to be a lesson in here somewhere. You know, the first lesson that I got is that guy is blank and blank. That was not the lesson. Okay? That wasn't it. No. There's got to be a lesson in here for me. And here's what came to me. It finally came to me in a poem. No matter what you say to me, I cannot take offense. Even if it's quite negative or doesn't make much sense. Because what you say belongs to you. It has nothing to do with me. So thank you for the opportunity of equanimity. Now, I'm not saying it's that easy to get there, because it isn't. But if we can get to that place where we recognize that when a statement is made about us or to us, that it really doesn't have anything to do with us. It has to do with the other person. And obviously, if someone says something that is helpful to us, that we can learn and we can grow from, then let's take it in. And you know what? That statement that was made, to me, was helpful to me. After all of this, it was helpful, and I can learn from it. Because if that person hadn't been my lover or my teacher, I would not have been able to break through. Now, of course, the situation, always the test is, if the situation comes up again, how will you respond? See, we teach there are basically two things we can do. We can react based upon our subconscious programming, or we can respond based upon love. And of course, the second one is sometimes harder to do, but that's where we're moving towards. Why are we moving towards it? Because it's indigenous in it. It's part of us. It's the wisdom of the universe that's in us. So one of the ways that we can kind of look at all this is take a look at the entire universe and put it in one calendar year. And I think you probably have heard this before, but it's kind of interesting. Now, the scientists say that the Big Bang happened about 14 billion years ago. So let's assume that that was January 1st, 14 billion years ago. The origin of the Milky Way galaxy would not come until May 1st. The origin of our solar system in which we live would not come until September 9th. The formation of the Earth would not come until September 14th. The origin of life on Earth would first appear 9 months after the birth of the universe on September 25th, more than 9 months. The date of the oldest fossils, bacteria, blue and green algae, October 9th. The invention of reproduction by microorganisms, November 1st. The oldest fossil photosynthesis plants, first plants, November 12th. The first cells with nuclei would begin to flourish around November 15th. And now we move into December. We're not here yet. Significant oxygen comes on our planet that allows life to develop. On December 16th, the first worms make their appearance. On December 19th, the first fish. On December 23rd, the first trees and reptiles. On December 24th, the first dinosaurs. On December 28th, the dinosaurs become extinct. They only live 4 days on this calendar. A giant meteor strikes the Earth 65 million years ago. On December 31st, the last day of the year at 10:30 p.m., the first humans appeared. On December 31st, at 9:59 and 20 seconds, the invention of agriculture. At 11:59 and 55 seconds, the birth of Buddha. At 11:59 and 56 seconds, the birth of Christ. At 11:59 and 59 seconds, 1 second before the new year, is the Renaissance. And here we are, the first second of the new year. This gives us sort of a perspective about how far everything has come to where we are. Now, the question is, are we just an insignificant speck in the whole process, or is there meaning and purpose in the whole universe? And I believe that there is meaning and purpose in the entire universe. And it has to do with the way we see and the way we think. At the beginning of the 20th century, for the first time, there was a breakthrough on the way people saw energy and particles and waves. Before that, it was all Newtonian physics and cause and effect. And you might remember the 3 laws. Do you remember the laws from your physics class? The first law of Newton: an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion. Well, we can apply that to science of mind. And here it is. Your old thought patterns will play and continue to play on their own unless you introduce a new force to stop them. You need to stop and move to a place where the mind isn't thinking anything. That's when the new force or inspiration will come. You see, if we don't open ourselves up to the new power, the new presence, all of the old stuff will just continue to play and play and replay and play. We've all seen this. Have you ever seen it in your family dynamics? I remember my mother and father. I could see when they were starting to get into an argument. I could see it. I'm sitting there, I'm 12 years old, trying to eat my dinner. And my father says something. Who gave me this fork? I mean, something stupid like that. And my mother said, what's the matter with the fork? I'd say, it's bent. Why do I always get the bent fork? She said, I don't know. Why do you always get the bent fork? He said, because you always give me the bent fork. And this goes on, and you're going, what's going on? And so pretty soon it's predictable what happens. Finally, something triggers, and my mother jumps up, usually, and sometimes I'll say something. Like, why don't you guys stop it, or something. And my mother jumps up, and there's all kinds of dynamics, and you know this, and she leaves, and she goes, and then my father turns to me and says, why don't you go apologize to your mother? I'm 12 years old! And it's all, and you know what, I mean, I have beautiful, wonderful parents, and there are many times, and I'm sure my kids say the same thing about us. In fact, they told me they say the same thing about us. But the thing is becoming more aware of these patterns and say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to have this kind of dynamics anymore. I want to change. And the way to change is bring in